Man, what a weird chapter this seemed to be. So we kind of came into this chapter. I'm guessing because it's like I gotta think of the numbers, but I think it's somewhere like near like the earlier to middle areas of the volumes. That's probably why it's kind of like a little bit in a more chill spot. But it seems more of like just explaining a little bit about Dogermag, having the information on Celine, and then the weird treasure hunter at the very end of the chapter. That was to me like the weirdest thing. The other things, it was like, okay, I can see why we're gonna have stuff like, oh, we're gonna be looking at a little bit more about Celine, her motives, and a little bit more of like how she generally thinks. We got some hints on like Dogermag, what's going on with the labyrinth. We got some lore connections. He seemed to know Igneel to a degree what we don't know. Either way, we were getting stuff that's like stuff that we already have. We're just building upon it. And then at the very end, the treasure hunter guy that was just out of nowhere. The treasure hunter dude is the weirdest thing to me because he doesn't even look like a strong opponent. He doesn't even look like some like badass character that just wandered in. And I'll talk about that more like when we get to it. But for now, we just kind of start out with Dogermag going for an attack. I mean, Dogermag's like massive shoulder check. I think is just he has a lot of really cool panels so far. Well, I think he's got a lot of cool general like panels for how he just kind of demonstrates himself when he's just kind of like standing there looking hype. This was I think a really cool just dynamic pose. Like one thing I really liked about Georg was because of his weird facial hair that took up so much of the panel that he just had really weird frames of how he looked in it. Obviously he didn't last us that much longer than we would have hoped, but as of right now, we got Dogermag actually like as the center and doing stuff. So like when we see stuff like him just shoulder rushing down and going to like crush anybody like in their way, it just looks really badass. All the arm movements where he's just kind of like doing these arm swings and like causing these big rock pillars, those are cool. But I like the ones that just kind of like stand out. Like even if it's not as hype, like right at the end when he points at Suzaku and then like has all those rocks kind of encase him. It kind of reminds me of the move that Jura used. Well, I can't remember exactly what it was called, like Conquering Rock Buster or something. It's sort of like that. Like he's just completely coating with rocks. I'm guessing Suzaku or Natsu is really gonna have. He and Suzaku are just really gonna have to put more effort into it. I think both of them are in a spot where they could get to that point of like the whole pushing to a higher limitation, breaking your limits kind of thing. I don't think it's out of the question for them. We know that Natsu was in a similar situation with Alderaan at a point, and he knows that getting the like just amplifying the temperature is one thing that's going to really help. And he's gotten a bit stronger since then, and having both of those in mind, I think that combined with somebody who he would consider at least enough of a friend already that he would want to save him, that you would have Suzaku and Natsu both in spots where they could kind of, like I said, kind of like push their limits and stuff and get to where they can kind of like start damaging the stone. Or maybe that'll be in a bit, because it's like maybe this is where their fight is going to have like a cutoff, and we're going to be having other stuff set up, and we're going to be having more focus over to what's going on with the other characters, and that's part of why the introduction of this weird treasure hunter dude happened. I could see that maybe, but other than that, it's a really weird setup with that. But I don't know. The whole bits with their kind of like general back and forth with Dogermag trying to talk to him about like what exactly like he wants with all this, like what is his aim, what's the dude's whole kind of goal. And I mean, I get that, like it's very weird right now because it's so vague and we don't really know exactly what their plan is. And the whole Eleftheria heart makes it so like he could have found out anything, even stuff that was like lost in time within the verse, lost within history, because with the way that the heart works, you'd just be able to find out information. So even if something is like completely stricken from history books that was supposed to be forgotten forever ago, he could just find it. We know that. So whatever he's got, it's gonna be hype. I would assume if this is gonna be like some big mega weapon for humanity in history or whatever it's supposed to be, then it's gonna be something pretty wild. Or if it's something kind of like diverging from that, I think that's fair. I think that on top of that, like Because when it comes to stuff like that, like weapons and like some form of like super weapon or man-made creation, I think it makes sense for there to be like really crazy ones that are like lost throughout history, ones that were so much that like people wanted to forget about them. It's like it's not the same thing as say with the treasure hunter guy, because look at where the characters are right now, like fighting Gray and people like fighting like Lucy and Urza and all these characters, you need to have a substantial level of power. Like Knots obviously is a good slot above them, but for the most part you're gonna have to have like somewhere within the Spriggan kind of area of power, just contending with anybody relevant as of now in the series. And when it comes to that, I think it's fair to like if you just kind of pulled some character from somewhere off in the world, but he's like that powerful, because it's different if it's like, oh, there's just these characters everywhere. But if it's like, okay, if there's just one, like, you know, within some span of the world, like he's just like he's one of the strongest people up in some country that we've never heard of. Like it just depends on how much you use it as. Because even like when you look at the young people that are already that powerful, like in the main cast, and other people like from other areas of the series, like people in the Spriggan 12 that are pretty young, members of Diablos that are pretty young, people like the Moonlight Beauty God, or what are they in the officials? The Moonlight Divinities, like people like that, where they aren't like these ancient, unaging people that have been around for centuries or whatever. They just have like a lot of natural talent as well as experience and everything that's kind of pushed them up to them those areas. The treasure hunter guy though just does not look powerful at all. I feel like he's just kind of gonna be there. Like I mentioned, I think I mentioned in my stream where I talked about how like I feel like Scolion is just gonna show up, kill this guy, and then like have like a corpse dragon slayer moment, eat his corpse or something, like turn him to ash and consume it, and then get his magic and stamina back, and he'll be the one to fight Gray. And it's like, I know like I've been wanting Scolion to do stuff, but and it's not as much of a copium thing, because it's more of like I just have no idea otherwise, like what's the point of this treasure hunter guy. He shouldn't be strong enough to fight Gray. He shouldn't be fast enough to really do anything to Gray. Like the only thing I could see is if he's got some tricky like trinkets and like tools to get away from things that are just gonna be really difficult for Gray to work around. Like just, you know, just weapons and whatnot, like little gadgets and magic tools and trinkets that like he just hasn't seen before, really often come across, so they just surprise him. Like stuff like that I can say like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. That's something that I could see like being a problem just off a surprise. But other than that, I don't really know what's supposed to be important about it. Someone mentioned that the kanji on his tattoo on his face means break or something. I don't really know if that's relevant or just a cool design thing. But it's like, he doesn't look that cool. Like, he looks pretty side character-ish. This looks like somebody that would be like the guy that like is the messenger or like right hand of a big character that Michiba would put in there. Like, unless he plans on having like a really powerful treasure hunter and have him in here, like it'd be really difficult, because like a really powerful treasure hunter, like you would have to have like top treasure hunter in the world, and there's only a couple characters you'd be able to logically put him against. And like out of the people now, like Gray, Gagiel, like you pretty much have everybody in the main cast, like everybody like that's tied directly to what's going on from the main cast perspective, aside from probably Laxus, Natsu, and then probably Urza. I mean, Urza's hurt, but I mean, Urza most of the time would be able to put up a good fight. But I feel like it'd be really weird to just pull some treasure hunter guy. Like, I feel like it'd be interesting as just like some side thing, but like I just don't know where else it would really go other than something like a way to revive up Scolion if he turns this random fodder dude to ash, puts him up, Gray and him have that fight. Who knows? Because like I said, like the people that I thought was going to be like, okay, guarding the cores would be, you'd have people like, oh, Diablos for specific reasons. Some of them get back up and help, and some defend. You could have the Celine children involved somehow, or just other dragons. Or you have like the golems and creations that Dogermag makes. But I mean, I think you can only do so much with that. Otherwise, it would feel too much like the God Seeds. The treasure hunter dude is just weird. The treasure hunter dude is just such a weird plot piece in there. Just because I don't think anybody suspected some random fodder guy, and I don't think anybody really knows where things are going to go with him until we get to like actually where the next chapter. So I would say probably that I'm hoping the next chapter. I really don't want this to be left open for a while. Because like yeah, I know like my want for Scullion to get back, but I'd rather it, like we just get to this and figure out what exactly is going on with this guy, rather than like, oh yeah, we're gonna pan away from it in like 2 to 3 weeks or 2 to 3 chapters rather. We'll get back to it. I don't think so. Just going by off of like how Mishima usually does things, we'll probably see this, and then maybe at the end of the chapter there'll be some other situation set up, maybe another fight going on between the other characters. The only ones that are like pretty fine are Gray and Gajil, so I feel like they logically would have the next fights. But I don't really know who's going to be a contender for them aside from maybe like Scullion and Madmal. If we have a treasure hunter guy, like I could see like number one treasure hunter. He's decked out with all this powerful gear and whatnot. He's like literally the peak of treasure hunters in the world, and he's here for the treasure hunting prize that no treasure hunter's ever been able to achieve. And he's able to fight Gajil or Gray. Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm fine if the pinnacle of this entire branch caps out here. I think that'll be okay with me. But outside of that, I don't really see what value these guys are gonna have. Like, well, just treasure hunters in general. I feel like it has to be something that's just opening for another piece in the story. But besides that, we did get a really nice moment, like when we were had Celine talking to them, and that was one of the things when Celine was explaining, like, I'm gonna keep sending you guys to the cores, you destroy them. I'll kind of stay here as like a relay station and just keep moving you guys all around. And that was when they were asking about, like, shouldn't we go help? And she's like, it won't really matter. If you can't damage him, then there's nothing you guys are going to be able to really do. I didn't think it was really funny that we had the Pixis joke again. Lucy summons in, but it's like they don't really need... They don't need a compass at all whatsoever. I mean, Celine, why would Celine need a compass? Like, she's probably got, like, magic that helps her with direction or some form of dragon instinct ability. But she's just opening portals for them. They're all just rushing through, destroying these cores. The cores are obviously nothing special. Like, we saw that they're destroyed pretty easily. It seems way more in the difficulty of getting to them. Celine's just cheating and then getting everybody to them way faster. But we have Gray, and Gray's, like, showing concern for Celine. And she just, like, pretty much saying how, like, she has enough strength pretty much to help for them. But that's about it. I still think Wendy is going to heal her. I think especially from this, we see that, like, Celine... Because I think people have misunderstood Celine, like a lot of people have. I think some people get it. But there's a lot of people that don't get Celine. It's like the people that think this is inconsistent with, like, Celine's character. But I don't think they understand. Celine isn't evil. Celine is definitely not a good person, like, outright. But she, at her core, she's somebody that just has so much power... Nothing can stop her really from just doing whatever she feels like. And sometimes whatever she feels like doing is beneficial for certain people, and sometimes it's negative for certain people. Like, it's just one of those things. It really just depends on, like, how what Celine's doing either benefits or hinders you. And we knew that she was already trying to, like, mess with Alderaan and do stuff with the Whiteout cult, obviously going for Diablos. She wanted to get rid of the other dragon gods, and she was trying to kind of like use people to do that, use various ways to achieve that. But I think a lot of people were paying more attention just to the fact that she's obviously just this not maniacal, but kind of more mischievous and a bit malefic at times dragon. Whereas I think that at our core, the problem is just her personality, with the fact of it doesn't really matter if what you want, like what your say is. If she really wants to she wants something to get done, she's gonna do whatever she can to pretty much get it done. Laxus and Gajil didn't have a say in coming over here. She just teleported them right over here. That was it. So when we see that she's like saying like she wants to kill the other dragon gods, Gray's like, aren't you guys on the same side? She's explained that they're enemies, and we know that they didn't really get along. We've known that they've had issues with each other for a long time, and now she's saying like what she the power that she sought after wasn't like these other groups. It was actually the wizards from Fairy Tale. And I think that, I mean, like one is, she's meant to say like she's after the main character, main dragon slayer, but I get what she's saying. Like, she's after like the whatever she can to like achieve this goal, but she's like, you guys are actually potential to do this. I'm wondering where Celine is gonna go from here. Like, is Celine gonna end up being a trainer, or like, what if we get like sessions of like Natsu trying to spar with her or something? I think that would be really cool. More matches of like just the two of them, and see how powerful like Natsu can get, like skirmishing with her. Because like Mishima clearly has plans for Celine. If he's not like, he didn't kill her off twice. He had two different opportunities where he could have left Celine, just let Celine just go. Let her go, drift out of the story, drift out of people's attention, but he kept her around. One, obviously, a fake out. One is like she's actually hurt. But with this, I can easily see Wendy healing her soon, because Celine is not a evil person. She's not an evil dragon. The problem is this, that she is problematic. And here now she's on their side, she's helping them, and it'd be a really good opportunity for, at least for both sides, to kind of look for ways to kind of make amends, and like be like, hey, you know, we don't have to have too much of a problem here. So Celine could hopefully become allies with them, and work towards like Igni and Viernes. I think on top of that, like, she is, as I've mentioned before, the most logical person to know how to find Viernes and get to Viernes. My only question would be like, what's going to be the deal, like, if she becomes an ally with like travel? She's just going to be able to teleport him there. Like, what's going to happen with that? But at the end of it, there's like a funny part when after like when she's talking to Gray and he's like saying how, you know, we'll beat all the 5 dragon gods and take over the world. She's like, not really, and she's still bleeding, but she's saying how she wants to live. She wants to kind of just live peacefully and quietly as a human, and like looking at the moon, enjoying a drink. And Gray has this like moment before he leaves, and he's like saying how you shouldn't have, you should never drink with shouldn't drink with naked guys as an appetizer, just in bad taste. And she's like, not a chance. So she's just like, I'm doing it again. I'm fine. I just thought it was funny. Celine just didn't seem to really be on for that. She just kind of did her thing. And everyone else is destroying the Doger cores. Plu's been doing this since the 90s. He'll be fine. And now we're down to 62. So we've had, what, 10 right now? 10 just kind of going through. The earlier ones, I feel like, are going to be the easiest. Like, not just in general. Because after this, I'm guessing is where we're gonna get a lot of the fights just kind of, like, set up. So hopefully we're going to be getting towards that in the next chapter. This random, like I said, the random treasure hunt dude, I actually thought he was Madmul for a second, because he has the hair tied up kind of like him, but nothing after that. Unless we're going to get some weird reveal or something that's like, this is Madmul and Scullion fused or some shit, and they've like combined in order to do something or other. Either way, like, this was even like when I did the live reaction, this chapter felt pretty short, but I feel like a lot of that, I mean, it was mostly dialogue, but not like the kind of like general like long running dialogue. We're gonna completely just cover up the whole page and info dump and text. The whole bits with Dogermag was way more of just kind of like the first parts where he's talking about like he actually did die, but he ate Eleftheria's heart, and it took him 100 years to regenerate his body and all that. Just the stuff you'd expect, like him just kind of like giving information that we, for the most part, I think had already figured out. And then, you know, set up Suzaku attack. Nice conversation between Gray and Celine, really progressing Celine's character, which is a huge W for her. And then just that weird ending with the treasure hunter. So next chapter, what's today? Friday? So the next chapter is in what? 11 days. And then we'll see what exactly is going on with the treasure hunter dude, and what exactly is going to go on with this whole bit, with like what exactly is Mishima doing with the cores now that he's introducing like weird extra characters to it. Are we going to be getting some form of other big boss character just appearing? Are we going to see like Diablos members do anything again? Well, what's going to be the plan? Because I think it would make a lot of sense if, now that Celine is hurt, a lot of the Diablos members want to, to go at her and like get revenge for Georg. I think that would make sense, but we'll see. Either way, comment below. Tell me your thoughts about this chapter. It was a fine chapter. Nothing crazy happened. It was mostly just, like I said, some setup, some Celine development, and I mean, that's mostly it. But other than that, comment below. Thumbs up the video, but from the like button, subscribe, and check out my other videos. But that, appreciate you subscribe. Thank you all for listening. Bye.